All right, so you have just given your common formative assessment as a team, and you are going to meet in your course-alike teams to analyze the data before you return or open the assessment up for students to look at. So what you are looking at right now, this is one of the topics. This is the assessment that the team designed. This is the standard, and these are what Mastery Connect calls substandards, or what we would call unpacked standards, and we prefer as a biology team to put them into learning targets so the students will get very specific feedback and understand what those mean. All three of these roll up into a total grade to show that one standard. And so we can look at this assessment as a whole and we can see averages, but then this is broken down into the individual target or substandards or unpacked standards so that we can specifically target intervention. So one of the things as a team that we want to look at is when we go into our actual assessment, we can see those three learning targets broken down even further. When we are analyzing the data as a group, we are going to look at the reports option in there. We can do specific item analysis, and this is pulling all of them. So we stated that a depth of knowledge 2 is where we wanted to give those questions, and they start off easier. And then as they progress, they move into harder level questions, as you can see. So we can look at this holistically and do an item analysis and see which targeted areas might need us to focus a little bit more on. We can look at the overall student mastery. We can do a tracker comparison or a teacher comparison if we had multiple teachers giving those assessments. So as a team, we want to target and look at specifically what students did not master certain standards. Let me go back out 1 second. So if we're looking at that same assessment, let me scroll over here. I can see that there is one student that is missing the carbon. There's another student, so I might put them together and give them some intervention, whereas my blue, which are exceeding, I would give them a lesson with a depth of knowledge of 3 or 4. The green ones then I would cluster together and put them in the regular depth of knowledge 2 and design a lesson, and then we would go back, perform those 3 different groups, activities, and then do a reassessment. So a reassessment, I haven't done one on that unit yet. You can see this was the first assessment. These were the 3 targeted interventions. And so there were groups divided into those 3, near mastery, mastery, and exceeding mastery were my 3 targeted groups. We, as a team, designed intervention. And then this is the second assessment that was given afterwards, where you can see that there was growth. If I look at just the one learning target, you can see the pre-test versus the post-test where there was improvement. Besides looking at the data as a team and coming up with what targets were mastered holistically, where do we need additional support, the individual teacher then, which can look at which area was their lowest. So that was a multi-standard test. One of the easiest ways when you are designing an assessment is to use one standard or one target. This is one quiz that we just recently gave, which I will be doing a lesson on with grouping. So if I look at this one standard and I sort the data so that I can see here are my groups, I'm going to have a lesson with exceeding mastery, and those students will have some, a design once we work with our team to do an extension activity with a depth of knowledge of 3 or 4. I have my mastery students working on a quick lesson with depth of knowledge 2. And then I will have some students who targeted interventions necessary. And then I can go ahead and add another assessment specifically to look at that data. If this was something that after the reassessment called for my interventionist coach or my tier 3 support, I would then call out to my interventionist to specifically pull students who need that intense one-on-one help. But usually we catch most of the students when we do a quick lunch and learn or a lesson afterwards. But we also have that tier 3 support if needed.